Welcome to the latest episode of Prescribing Growth. This is the video series where we talk to the top business minds in auto reconditioning. My name is Matt McAllister. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Mobile Tech RX. And man, am I excited about today's guest. We got Daryl Lyons, Big D. Just found out he was nominated for the Detailing Shop of the Year, Detail Lex, Southern Detailers Conference. This guy is blowing up this year, and I'm super excited to get to chat with you.
I appreciate that. Very honored, very honored.
How's it going?
It's good. It's been a crazy year. So I'm excited for this year. What you just said, Detail Shop of the Year, I won Mr. GP this year at SEMA.
Wow.
So it's been a good year, and I'm excited for it.
So tell us a little bit about where things are now. What's the business look like as it stands?
For me in Detail Lex,
yeah,
it's crazy. I have two shops. One is about 5,000 square feet, and I have another one that's about 18,000 square feet. Wow. I have 16 employees. I also am a distributor for Angel Wax. I have a t-shirt line for detailers out, and I'm also putting on the Southern Detailers Conference. So I'm a little busy, Matt.
I'm sure you are.
A little craziness. So.
And I'm sure it's always been that busy, right?
You know what? Just up to the last 4 years, I actually really got into it seriously. I was always a little hobbyist or do-it-yourselfer, and going to car shows, people would always want to know who did your car and who detailed it, and it just kind of fed off that. So I said, why not? Let's just make the move, and here we are.
That's incredible. So this series is focused entirely on the tricky aspects of growing businesses.
Okay.
And as somebody who is clearly in the midst of growth, I think there's no one better to hear from than you. But I'm curious about where you started. What was the baseline?
To me, there's nothing better than seeing a car transform right in front of you. When you take a car that's just really dirty or got swirl marks or something and you transform it, that's so gratifying to me. I mean, I love that part of it. It's the whole aspect of getting to do something you love every day, and we get to play with cars and trucks all day. So, I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
So was it teenage years when you first started?
Teenage years, yeah. But I really got serious like the last 15, 16 years.
There's a lot of people. We've had some great guests in this series, guests that you and I both know and enjoy speaking with, who have experienced growth over decades of time. And talking to you, you're in the middle of hyper growth.
I am. There's a lot, and you talking about these guys that we know together, there's so much knowledge there.
What's the path been like for you personally?
Hard, very hard. You never want to show your personal side in a business. I have a firm belief when you walk into the shop, my personal life stops. When I walk into my shop every morning, I say a prayer every morning. I say, this is yours. I'm just here running it for you. And, it's rough sometimes when I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's not a big city. We're pretty decent, not major. So it's hard, there's different competition there. People that have been around for 13, 14 years, and I'm just coming on strong the last 4 years. But I've built such a good reputation, and, I can't say it'd be easy because that would be a lie, but it's a journey. I really and truly think it's just a journey for that.
How long have the shops been open for you?
The shop, the guy that had the shop before me, I bought it from him about 2 years ago. We started in a 1,200 square foot building, and at the first 2 months we realized we couldn't do that. It wasn't big enough, and our name got so big that we moved into a 5,000 square foot building.
So before the 2 years, what was detailing like for you prior to getting into the shop?
It was different because I was doing it in the garage. I had a Corvette at the time, so I would go to all these car shows, and people would ask you, who did your car? So it would be nothing for a buddy to call, or his dad or somebody's friend to call and say, hey, D, can you detail my car? And it just kind of, extreme car care was my fame there. So that's where I started at, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
How long would you call yourself a hobbyist before you became a professional?
Probably 10, 12 years.
Wow.
I loved it. I was a bartender. I worked at the hospital. I worked in pediatric critical care for almost 6 years. So I was the administrative director for that. I've done it all. I was a regional director for Hallmark Cards, but I was always going home and detailing a car in the evening or on the weekend, or taking my car somewhere to show it.
So I think that there's some advice to be shared here, because there's a lot of detailers who are going to watch something like this, or a lot of detailers who have the same experience that you do, where it's a hobby that they love doing. What's the tipping point, and what was the tipping point for you to go from hobby to I'm all in?
That was I really and truly was trying to find my niche. And, whether it be public relation or working with the public in general, I love the car aspect. And I think that's what pushed me the most. If I could tell a beginner today, get an investment. Don't break your bank. That's the hardest thing right now for a lot of new detailers, even mobile detailers. They put so much money in, and you need a little bit of an investment. You need a little bit of a starting point, so you got something to base off of. And that, to me right now, I think that's the hardest thing for new guys, is to get somebody to invest in you. It don't have to be a lot. If you're going to go mobile, get you a little van, whatever you need. If you're going to go into a shop, sit down and do all the figuring of it. Don't rush into it. That's my biggest thing right now, is don't rush into it. Don't go into it with an attitude. That's the worst thing you can do, is go into an attitude. Find you a mentor. That's the most important thing. Get training, learn product. I took Rennie's course back in August, and probably one of the most exhilarating things I've ever done. The new guy just needs to take a deep breath and get you somebody to focus on, and let them guide you. Let them lead the way for you.
You've capitalized on community more than I think most people do. How does a person looking to take the next step get involved in that community?
I just think your community is what makes you. I can't just sit there, and kind of makes me a little emotional. I can't sit there and think I would be where I'm at without my community. I mean, they support you so much, and you're always going to have that one person that's never happy with you, or you can't make them happy. Sure. That's just life. But the community to me that's your business. That's your whole lifeline. Without your community and your support, you don't have a business.
So 10 to 12 years, hobby, doing it out of the garage, growing steadily. What is the tipping point in the investment in a facility as large? And that's fresh. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot to take on to.
Was that scary?
It was very scary. It's scary now. It's the wintertime. What's detail business in up north? We kind of pivot in January and February. It's a dip for us, and we got to fight for everything we can. And
so, how do you manage this growth? Because this is, your growth right now is at a very fast pace. There's detailers out there who are thinking about change at maybe a smaller scale, but it's still overwhelming to think about making changes to your business, to the way you earn a livelihood. How mentally have you been able to manage?
I don't know that I am.
All of these.
I don't know that I am.
There's an answer too.
Again, every day I question myself. Am I doing too much? How
do you answer that question, though?
I don't. I really don't. I say a prayer a lot. That's the truth. I'll say a prayer, and I live for the next day. I don't live for. Everybody's always like, in this moment. That's not me. I always want to see the next day. I want to see what's going to happen the next day. How can I help you? How can I help Mobile Tech RX? What can I do to help you? And to answer that question, I don't know. I don't know how I'm handling it. On the flight down here today, I kept thinking to myself, what's happened to me in the last couple of years? My name's gotten so big. And I love that. I'm very humbled by that. But again, I don't look at it as I'm anybody. I'm just a detailer from Kentucky, and I want to help. But the stress of it's real. I won't lie on that. The stress is very real. I think anything, even with what you do, you're trying to make sure that you have the next hottest thing there, and you're helping the industry, and that's stressful for you. I think everybody's stress is a little different. Mine just might be a little bit more in depth and a little bit crazier, but I love a challenge. I love when somebody tells me I can't do something.
So what do you credit? Detail Lex is now a name in the industry. What do you credit for that? What separates Detail Lex from other detailing shops?
That's a loaded question. Part of you wants to say it's me because I've got out and promoted the company, and I used to do little crazy videos on Friday, just something funny, and I always wanted it to be, if you're learning something from somebody, I can teach you something, but I want you to enjoy it. I want you to be engaged in it, and I want you to have fun doing it. And I I'll take a little bit of credit for putting Detail X on the map, but a lot of it is my crew. You know, the work we put out, we're not perfect. We never will be perfect. And there's no perfect detailer in this country. That's just a given. But I think a lot of it is customer service. I try to always go out of my way. I may not do the right thing, but I'm always going to try to figure out a way to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. I'd say social media is a lot of it too.
One thing you mentioned earlier that stood out to me is how you've hired significant leaders in a space that a lot of people don't, like a CFO. Having Vicky as a CFO, there are not a lot of detail shops out there who have CFOs on their team.
Right.
How did you approach who to hire and when to hire them?
Yeah, that was probably the hardest thing I did, was turning my company over. You're letting somebody pretty much run the company. We go through manager, we have turnover like anybody else. But the CFO, to me, is somebody that is so much more than just a CFO. Mm-hmm. You've talked to her. Mm-hmm. She's my biggest supporter. She's right there stressing out with me. I mean, there's sometimes we're both looking at you going, oh, what are we going to do, or how are we going to do this? But I really and truly, my degree is in marketing, and I have a minor in child development, and I have an associate degree in business management. And I don't really know how I use any of that being a detailer, but I knew from the business part, a CFO and an office person. And I know a lot of guys don't do that. I mean, I talked to several of them earlier that I wished I had somebody do that. And I'm lucky that I have that. But I think that makes your business.
Do you think that increased the level of professionalism right off the bat?
100%. 100%. I think with that initial contact that you have is so much. I think appearance is everything. Mm-hmm. I think having a lobby, for people to wait and hang on, and we have a window that you can look out into the shop. You see what we're doing. I love taking customers out to the shop and seeing that. But I think the image is everything. People ask about our logo. What's the horse for? It's a horse and a Corvette.
Oh, nice.
Two of the most famous things to ever come out of the state of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So, there's so many things there, but the CFO, and it makes your company. She's the heart and soul of my company. My employees will go talk to her before they'll come and talk to me because they know she signs the checks. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm blessed in that. I should say that. But again, it's just to me, I think it makes the company.
So how big of a transition was it to go from one-man shop running your business to a manager, a CEO?
Very hard. When you have two shops, you got to have somebody that's in that shop that you trust. I've got cameras and stuff, so I get to see what's going on. But you have to have that one individual that's running your shop for you. Plus, he's also running your crew. Mm-hmm. And I've had some issues with managers there. But John David has been one of my best friends for 20 years. He was in the medical profession. And up to the last 2 years, he got into detailing. And he's become one of the baddest detailers on the East Coast because he wanted to learn the trade. He wanted to learn the side of it. And he's always had that business side to him. And he'll yell at me every now and then because I'll call on Saturday and say, hey, what's going on? Don't worry about it. We got this. Go relax. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. When you're turning over something that you love and it means so much to you, when you turn that over, it's a shot to the gut because you're entrusting somebody with my livelihood.
Sure.
And I'm lucky with that. But I think anybody has issue with employees. And right now I have a great crew. I have an amazing crew. I really do. And I'm knock on wood. I don't want anybody to quit. But I love my crew and they're all great. I've seen a couple guys that we've helped train. They've went on to do things. And I'm proud of them for that. So it's there.
So detailing, more than any other in auto reconditioning, seems to be so competitive on price. And I know that's something you experience. And I think your feedback for the businesses trying to set themselves apart, not just by having a price that's $5 lower, but a quality that's better. How do you put the flag in the ground that says, I'm great at what I do, and this is the value of what I do, and not, I don't know, I guess I'll be $10 cheaper than the guy over there?
Well, I mean, competition is what makes the world go round. Mm-hmm. We know that. There's some amazing detailers in Lexington. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that's been hard is you don't want to get into that competitive side of it. I'm a firm believer if you poke the bear, then the bear comes out. That's the way I am. I also believe that if you don't defend yourself or your company, nobody else will. So that's old school for me. As far as, I don't ever want to come across and say I'm the best. I will use the word I'm one of the best. One of my old philosophies in college, one of my professors always told me, if you make a customer feel like family, they'll always come back. They'll always come back. And I always try to do that. I want everybody to feel like they're part of our family. You know, we always say welcome to the family when we leave and hand you your keys to your car. But competition is, I wouldn't worry about competition. Let that go. Let that be the last thing on your mind. It's all fun and games to find out what pricing is so you know that you're in the same area. But Justin Lobato made a comment to me when he was at the Southern Detailers Conference last year. He said, "What does your shirt say?" And I said, "Lexington's premier auto detailer." He said, "Okay, so you have to set the standard." And that has stuck with me. I think about it every day. When I see my logo, I think about that. And you want to set yourself apart. And you can do that in so many different ways. Pricing is, if you know you can do something, by all means, I'm a firm believer, hook the customer up, take care of them. But competition it shouldn't be that big of your outlook. It should be that big on your spectrum. So.
Sure. Well, Daryl, crazy last few years. I think the inspiration that you provide is not only the patience that you've given, but the dedication you've given. And it's clear to me that you have a dedication to the craft and the community that loves the craft. And that's what's helped set you apart.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love it.
And I can tell you the people who are going to watch this are going to be grateful that you've been willing to give back.
I love it. I think everybody should. I think everybody, look what you're doing. You're giving back right now just like I am. You're giving them a stage to, look at these cameras, and you're giving them a chance to learn something. And the education to this it's invaluable. So, I look at it as, I wish somebody would have done this for me a long time ago, because I probably would have got in a little bit sooner than I did. But I think you have a path, and you have to just wait and take that path and let it happen. And I'm grateful for it. So.
Well, we're grateful for you. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Look forward to seeing you.
Of course.
Appreciate it very much.